name is Rob Roberts. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, and each week we take a look back at the previous week and take a look ahead as we take a look back at a 28-14 loss by the Bulldogs. Joining me now is head coach Tony Bray, and you've had a couple days to digest the loss a little bit. 28-14 doesn't seem like too bad, but you know it could have been a lot worse too.
Yeah, definitely. After having an opportunity to watch the film and dissect that film and see what we did right and a lot of things that went wrong, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. You're absolutely correct, man.
Your first full game for quarterback T.J. Brown. Talk about his first full game as a starter. Of course, he got to play in the preseason, but really only played one quarter. So let's talk about how he went in the 4 quarters of play.
Well, I thought T.J. started the game very, very well. He put some pinpoint passes out there for receivers and gave them the opportunity to make plays. The receivers didn't make those plays, and I think a little bit of frustration took over from that point. And he kind of struggled there for a little bit in the second half.
Despite Bulldogs are known for running the football, and they seem to load the box, 8-9 in the box the whole game, but Eddie Bain was still able to do things here and there. Talk about just overall your running backs and how you thought they performed overall.
Well, this was one of the tougher games, I think, for our core. And it was due entirely to the offensive line, not a lack of our running backs being prepared or wanting the football. But in some cases, and Saturday was one of those situations where we thought maybe if we tried to throw the ball and have some success throwing the ball, it would open up the running game, but that didn't happen.
Your defense has some uncharacteristic mistakes that you usually don't see out of a Coach Bray coach defense. How do you address those issues?
Well, we go back and we start over again. We've got to be sure that we're sure and, you know, get ourselves to a point where we're getting better every single week, where guys are starting to feel more comfortable in different types of coverages, different looks that offenses are giving us, knowing what their responsibilities are and taking care of business.
Now, the defense had its rough spots, but also had some glimmers of hope, led by Rodney Stone, a 78-yard fumble return. He also had an interception later on. And that was really a turning point in the game. He had the interception. You had a chance to come back down and tie the game again, but your offense stalled. But Rodney Stone was a bright spot on that defense.
We go as Rodney goes defensively, and he had one heck of a football game. He gave everything he had. That was one of those nights where, you know, you kind of have to carry that kid off of the field. He single-handedly kept us in the football game and gave us opportunities to win it.
He really only had one shot really to make an impact on the game, but it had to be nice having Zink back for Saturday night as well, and I'm sure you're looking more from him moving forward as well.
Definitely. Anytime we've got Dustin with us, it's a huge plus field position-wise. It gives me a little bit of extra time and options, if you will, where he's concerned, where he can hit a 45 or 50-yarder. You know, all we have to do is put the ball inside the 30, and we're pretty much guaranteed points.
Now, they say sometimes losses like that, you can learn a lot about your team and learn a lot about yourself. We know what you learned on the team side, but what did you and the coaches take away from that game?
Well, we've got to do better as a coaching staff. We've got to get our guys mentally prepared week in and week out. I think we had a bit of a letdown this week knowing that we had beat this team for the past 4 years. So we've got to do a better job of preparing our guys week in and week out that no matter who we're playing, we've got to take care of business.
Now, you talk about you being 4 straight, and we and you have spoken about this before. For people that have tuned in, they've heard this question before, but you're everybody's Super Bowl, and if you guys don't bring your A game every week, even if it's just for a series or two, the teams seem to pounce on that, and that seemed to be the way it was. He took the opening kickoff back 58 yards. You were able to hold him out of the end zone, but they seem to set that mindset early what this was their Super Bowl, and that's how they treated it, and that's really how they played for 4 quarters.
Yeah, it's like a champion going into a fight against a challenger, and the champion not taking care of his business early on in a fight. You know, you've got to go in and you've got to set the tone. We're the team that everyone wants to beat. They shoot to beat us. And so we've got to go in and we've got to take that confidence away early in football games. We gave them a little bit of confidence, and they took it and ran with it.
Now, that was the big thing last year, and we've talked about that before as well, is your team finally got over that hump of taking the lesser teams not as serious. You seem to get over that hump. Do you think that game Saturday night will be the building block for the rest of the season when they learn that the first quarter is just as important as the fourth quarter, no matter who the opponent is?
You said a mouthful right there, and one reason why we're here today, Rob, on a Monday. Normally Mondays are film days for the organization. Today we're practicing. As a coaching staff, this is where we get a chance to do our biggest thing, getting our guys ready. You know, seeing where we are, building character from a loss that we've taken that we know we shouldn't have taken. So today is a big day for us.
Well, that's it for the first half of Coach Bray. Make sure you join us as we bring a couple players along, and then we'll recap with Coach Bray as we look to a rival game. The Stallions are in town this Sunday. With me now is kick returner, linebacker, running back, safety, do it all, Rodney Stone. Even though you guys fell 28-14 last week, you got a pretty good personal game, the 78-yard fumble return and a nice 50-yard interception return.
You know, when I think about it, it's a team game, so those little stats really don't mean anything without a win, so, you know.
Speaking of disappointment, you guys coming off the White Division Championship last year, had the heartbreaking loss in the playoffs. So you guys came back this year, the expectations were really high. You've been here for long enough. You've been here for 5 seasons with the Extreme/Bulldogs. Talk about your role as a leader and how you get these guys back on track.
Basically, you know, I'm a hard player. People follow that. You know, like you said, I've been here 5 years, so my role basically is get these guys together on game day. You know, try to win a game, try to get them on my level. You know, that's about it.
So would you consider yourself a more lead by example guy or more of a rah-rah guy?
More lead by example. You know, sometimes I can get a little rah-rah when I'm making good plays, but most of the time I'm just a mellow guy. I'm just ready for it whenever.
Let's talk about your transition from the safety position to the linebacker position this year. You found it as an easy transition, a little difficult, or?
I mean, I played it in high school. You know, basically it was a team decision. I did it for the team. I felt we got a lot of good DBs out of safeties. So by me going down a linebacker, I feel that would have helped the team more because, you know, I'm quicker to get to the ball, and, you know, I'm real physical too. So it was basically a team decision.
Speaking of that physical play, it seems like the older you get, though, the better you've gotten, especially on your kickoff and your punt returns.
Well, you know, last year I was kind of out most of the season with a knee injury. So, like, before I even talked to Mike about coming back, I had it stuck in my head that I was going to do better. You know, I was thinking about this being my last season. So, you know, I'm going to do my best. I worked hard in the offseason. I still got a little weight on me, but as far as getting my knee and my legs together and lifting weights, I went hard at it. So.
Let's talk about a Rodney pregame. What's your game day and pregame ritual? You have anything weird or out of the ordinary?
Not really. You know, I eat a good breakfast in the morning. I really don't try to eat too close to the game. You know, talk to my friends. A couple of my friends passed away. You know, Terry Stuckey, my god brother Daryl Jackson. You know, I look up in the sky, talk to them every game. You know, just tell them to look out for the team, look out for me, look out for all my surroundings, everyone around me. You know, and that's another big emotion. You know, it gets me going. So.
Now, during the game, would you consider yourself a silent person, or do you enjoy chattering with the other side of the ball?
I say a little mixture. You know, like I said, when I'm going, there ain't no stopping me. You know, I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna do whatever. But you know, I just make plays. I try not to talk, but hey, sometimes it's just in you. It just comes out of you. You can't help it.
A couple years ago, I'm gonna end you off with this one, as we do with everybody. A couple years ago, Coach Bray told me that him and owner Mike Kirchinger, who's Sasha's special teams coach, said they were like a husband and wife relationship, husband and wife tandem. Which one do you say is the husband? Which one would you say is the wife?
I'll say Mike is the wife. I'll say Bray. Bray's a little more physical. Mike is more like the wife.
Well, that's what happens when Coach Bray controls your playing time. So, for Rodney Stone, back for the final segment here of Bulldogs Weekly is Coach Tony Bray joins us for the last segment. It's rivalry week. Stallions, you guys won it last year. I'll say it, they avoided it, but now you got them. You get them in your own backyard. Sunday, 3 p.m. Let's talk about Stallions.
A really good football team, very well coached. They got some great athletes over there. So we're looking for a really competitive football game. It'll be a good win for us to get back on track.
Now, we talked about last week, you looked ahead, Stallions, they're 0-2, they lost to the Falcons, first win in Falcons franchise history last week. So the Stallions coming kind of stumbling a little bit. How do you keep your guys focused?
We can't take the Stallions lightly, and our guys know that. This is a team that finished 8-3 just a season ago, just barely missed the playoffs. So this is one of those competitive games that we know going in is going to be a dogfight for 4 quarters. I don't think it's going to be much trouble getting these guys up and ready for that.
Is this one of those games, along with the Ohio game you guys got coming up, where they kind of circle it, a lot of trash talking going back and forth between these two teams, a lot of message board material this week?
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of poster board material, a lot of locker room material between both teams, back and forth. It's a lot of playful stuff that goes on between our two organizations. I have a lot of respect for Coach Mike Metzger and his coaching staff, and I think that they reciprocate those feelings. And so it'll be a great football game. Everybody that can get out to that game, please come out. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Earlier in this episode, you talked about taking things differently this week. You're practicing on a Monday. How do you get that mindset today to get there? And you're 6 days away. How do you get that mindset going on Monday?
Well, we've got to, take some time out and discuss some of the negative things that went wrong and take some time and repair those things. It's important that we get better week in and week out, not worse. So we've got to spend a lot of time today correcting the mistakes that we made Saturday night.
Not to dwell on it, but the last time we'll bring up the last game. But it was the first time you guys have ever been really controlled up front. How do you change that this week, especially in a rivalry game? Because games are won up front, the offensive and defensive line. That's the first time you've lost that battle in a few years. How do you change that heading into this week to get back on the W side?
Well, we've got to get our offensive linemen to practice, first of all. Get those guys to gel together. Everything goes with those 5 guys that we work with. So they've got to get here. We've got to make the corrections. We didn't pick up blitzes well last week, so we've got to work on picking up those blitzes, make sure that those guys are in shape and ready to play on Saturday.
No, Coach doesn't want to hear this, but any chance, maybe it's so early in the season, maybe simplify things or maybe change things up a little bit this week?
Well, as the week goes along, we'll make some decisions and see where we are. We don't want to, start to peel away at what we do best this early in the season. If that happens, then that's what we'll do. We will definitely make adjustments as the season goes. That's the great thing about football, Rob, is that you make adjustments.
Well, for Coach Bray, I'm Rob Roberts. Make sure you get to Newport Stadium 3 o'clock. It's Bulldogs and Stallions.